కెపాసిటీ తెలుసు అండి 25 లక్షల మంది 25 lakhs. Sit in the right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, welcome to the MCG, the celebration of the 163rd anniversary of the Melbourne Cricket Club. Reminder, plenty of things to do and see around the MCG, just areas that are out and about. Today, the little field area of the MCG is involved, so there is no access to the Great Southern Stand, the Great Southern Stand. No access to Liverpool and also no access to the Great Southern Stand area. Come over here, let's pick up the coffee. Come over here. See, Nick? It's getting better. Just last week, first time they put the top. Let's get it.
Carlton beat Collingwood. Look, Carlton beat Collingwood in the grand final. Richmond beat Collingwood in the grand final. Carlton beat Collingwood in the grand final.
Lost so many times.
Yeah. We beat Melbourne now. Basically, St Kilda beat us in the grand final by 1 point. See, we lost to Melbourne in the grand final. Lost to Melbourne in the grand final. Lost to St Kilda in the grand final. Lost to Carlton in the grand final. We drew with North Melbourne. North Melbourne won.
They changed it. They had a fight fixture halfway through the season. It creeps up. That must have been very good. Almost as many points in the game as teeth in the crowd. It starts to creep up more, so like 47. It's on the average
Oh, the G. This is my favourite place in the world. You know, on game day, I used to get here a bit early. Just to get my footy. Just to walk around the ground before anyone else was here. Just kick the ball myself, a couple of snapshots at goal. And just make sure I felt at one with the G. Just putting myself in the zone. I always felt like I belonged here. And it was here that I experienced some of the greatest moments of my life. You know, like the noise and chaos of holding a premiership cup above your head and knowing you've achieved the ultimate. Compare that to the eerie silence on Anzac Day when the bugle is playing the last post and 100,000 people are silent. But the feeling that I've always missed, and I'm going to miss the most, is crossing that white line, running out on the G, and knowing the ball's going to get in your hands. Dodge one, dodge two, and kick it as far as you can towards the punt road end. Nothing will ever replace that feeling for me. Because for me, it's all about playing the game that I love. My grandfather and father both played for Essendon. My grandfather actually had a stand named after him at Windy Hill. And the only thing that I ever wanted to do when I grew up was to captain Essendon to a premiership. I remember coming here with my dad in 1984 to watch the Bombers play the Hawks in the grand final. When Leon Baker kicked the sealer, when my dad turned around the bloke behind him, smacking a kiss on his lips and giving him the biggest hug of all time. And it's that kind of passion that I always wanted to play with. People always saw me as pretty much in control. But you know what? It was all about passion in here for me. When I first started at Essendon, I felt like I was lucky enough to be a supporter who had a chance to get out in the ground and make a difference. We won the grand final in 1993. The Baby Bombers, they called us. We were a group of 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. And people say, you'll never realise how lucky you are. But when you're up close and personal next to Michael Long, when he picks up the ball to win, he dodges one, runs for 10, has a bounce, dodges another, and kicks long over Slavani's head for a goal, you know how lucky you are.
Still going! 30 metres up! Oh, what play!
Everyone on the whole ground knew Slavani touched it. We weren't going to tell anyone. There were individual honours in the next 3 seasons. 3 best and fairest, Brownlow medal, and the club bestowed the club captaincy on me. I felt pretty fortunate. And people used to say, Herdy, you're a courageous player. Well, I got my dad to thank for that. His philosophy on courage was pretty much, if you're courageous, you're honest. If you're not, you're not. And that philosophy was stretched to the limit between 97 and 99. I only played a handful of games, and through those 3 horror years, I was criticised by the media as being overpaid and overrated, and maybe they were right. But by the time I fractured my foot for the 3rd time, out on the half-foot flank just over there, I was pretty sure it was all over. I remember coming and sitting on the bench alongside my teammates, with my head in my hands, And even though there were 50, 60,000 people in the crowd, I felt alone. I could hear the rumble of that crowd, feel the glare of the cameras, and knew that the media behind me was saying I was finished. And they were probably right at the time, because I certainly felt like a fake and a failure. It's interesting, isn't it? Because life changes so quickly. Remember 5 weeks later, my wife and I had our first child, Stephanie, and it brought a whole new perspective into our life. Things looked up right from that moment. And yeah, I had to learn to walk again, but I had great people like John Quinn and Kevin Sheedy around me. You know, Sheeds never doubted what I could do for the Essendon Footy Club, even when I did on so many occasions. And for all of us, the year 2000 was incredible. We won 24 out of 25 games that year, and were basically invincible. And to me, there was no better feeling in football. We were hot, we were on fire, we had a great team. And coming into the finals, we were favourites. And luckily for me, I was flying again. And just before grand final week, the curse of '99 returned. I got a call at training to say that Stephanie was in intensive care. And my whole grand final week was turned on its head. My lifelong dream was suddenly inconsequential compared to Stephanie being in hospital. But luckily by the morning of the grand final, Stephanie was cleared of anything serious. And I was able to concentrate and focus on footy and being the best captain I possibly could. When we ran onto that ground on grand final day, I know that my heart physically stopped, because I was about to captain Essendon to the premiership that I so fiercely desired. Not only did I captain the Bowlers to a premiership, but I was lucky enough to be voted best on ground and win the Norm Smith medal. An amazing experience.
Marty Simmons here. He won the 16th premiership, and this will be the story of James Hill.
Thank you to my teammates. You're the best bunch of blokes you could ever meet. My wife turned out, and the little baby Stephanie. This is for you guys. Thank you. When I ran to Stephanie and Tanya at the end of that game and hugged them on the fence, I just felt so special and so privileged to be part of what we'd just done. In 2000, I reached the goals that I'd always wanted to achieve. I achieved my dreams, but I still wanted more. I loved Essendon Football Club, and I loved footy, and I certainly loved my family. And they were my rock throughout the ups and downs of my whole footy career. Particularly at the start of 2004, when the Bombers had lost the first 2 games, and I was feeling the pressure of a captain who wasn't part of a winning team. I wanted to win, and we weren't doing it. I said some things publicly about the game that were a bit out of character. And suddenly the focus was on me and not on my team as it should have been. The media had a field day, everyone had a field day. And I was desperate to make sure we won our next game against the West Coast Eagles and take the focus off me and back onto the Essendon Football Club where it should have been.
31 apiece.
That night we played an incredible game. We kicked the first 6 and West Coast kicked the next 6. And by 3/4 time, the scores were level. One of the best games ever in the history of football. I remember at 3/4 time sitting in the huddle thinking, Jim, you haven't had a kick. And you've just got to make the difference in this quarter. You cannot lose this game because you've been too selfish and too caught up in your own head, and you've got to get out and do something for the club. The last quarter to me was surreal. I was playing on pure heart and pure adrenaline, just trying to prove that I could be there. And when I kicked the goal that won us the game with 30 seconds to go, I was just so relieved and emotional for that. I didn't really know what I was doing when I went and hugged that guy on the boundary line. But I knew one thing. I knew at that moment why my dad kissed that bloke in '84. Because he, as I, was a true supporter and a passionate one, where football was almost the meaning of life. And it brings you to the point, the relationship that a player has with the crowd. These guys support you, they back you, they see your highs, they see your lows, and they share them, they cry with you, they laugh with you, and they're part of your life. When I retired with Kevin Sheedy back in 2007, we did our lap of honour around the MCG. I remember thinking, these guys are emotional as I am, and looking in their eyes, looking in the eyes of Richmond fans and Collingwood fans and Essendon fans. And everyone was saying, well done, Peter. I always thought the Richmond and Collingwood fans had hated them. And after the game, we went down the rooms as we always did. We did our warm down. And the kids ran up and said, Dad, can we go to the ground and have a kick? Like they always did, you know, kids won't have a kick. And I said, of course not. And then I thought, hang on, I'm never going to get to do this again. So with an empty stadium and the lights still on, Took my kids and my wife, and we had one last kick on the MCG. One last kick. It's hard to believe, isn't it? I'm never going to get to kick the football in the MCG again. I'm never going to be part of it. There's going to be no more sharing 2.5 hours with 21 of my best mates. No more of those pure moments when the ball's on a string and everything you touch turns to gold. And no more singing that team song with a stadium full of people. There's one thing I'm still always going to have. I'm always going to be able to hear the roar of an MCG crowd ring in my ears.
What's James heard of this player?
Look at this padded seating.
Potatoes with just chairs and tables for
That's the oval.
Right over there, wouldn't you?
Not where I wanted to go. Told you.
Wouldn't that be nice watching the cricket from here?
Oh, we go this way, boys.
What was your info?
So, well, this is the actual player room. Oh, yeah. This is where the
Turning right as you leave, thank you. Come, over. This goes directly to the second. Thank you.
Tell you what, it's fucking warm in here.
bit of dryer and long it is.
Needs a good clean out.
Oh, let's go. You're so funny.
Excuse me.
कट्ठे बैठेंगे
ठीक है प्रिया कितने
be going, oh!